Martin Hudson, partner of the law firm Grant Henry and Rooms and member of the Best Practices Committee of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, want to wish CBX a happy anniversary and birthday, and wishing them many more years of excellent business and service.
The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News Headlines is brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible.
An election steady stage, a $6 billion squeeze, and Trump tariffs in the Supreme Court. Good evening, and welcome to CBX Business News for Tuesday, September 9, 2025. I'm Rondine Williams. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, Fitch Ratings says Jamaica's general election will not lead to major economic or fiscal policy changes. On the regional front, a $6 billion squeeze. Trinidad and Tobago's central bank flags foreign exchange gap, signals rate hikes. And over on the global stage, U.S. Supreme Court weighs Trump tariffs in a case that could trigger a $1 trillion payout. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after our first break.
Caribbean flavors and fragrances. It started out as a small family-owned business, and now we're a part of a large group of companies. Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency. We had some fears about getting our information in the public domain, but once we contacted the Jamaica Stock Exchange, who have the knowledge and the experience to guide us, we were comfortable with getting into the process. If you have any doubts about being listed, just give the Jamaica Stock Exchange a call. They'll be very happy to take you through the process and also provide you with information that you may need. Make that call now.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with a strong vote of confidence from Fitch Ratings on the country's fiscal outlook following the September 3 general election. Jamaica has made history at the ballot box, but Fitch Ratings says it is what comes after the votes are counted that matters most to investors, businesses, and households. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, have secured a third consecutive term, joining only PJ Patterson of the People's National Party, PNP, in that achievement. Yet, despite the political milestone, Fitch says Jamaica's real legacy is its fiscal prudence. In a report released on Monday, the global rating agency reaffirmed Jamaica's BB- sovereign rating with a positive outlook, projecting that the debt-to-GDP ratio will fall to 59% by 2027, a year ahead of the government's official target. Fitch notes that while pressures are mounting for more infrastructure spending and tax relief, Jamaica's track record of large primary surpluses and adherence to fiscal rules gives investors confidence that discipline will hold. Inflation remains steady within the Bank of Jamaica BOJ's 4 to 6% target range, and growth has resumed following last year's hurricane disruptions. The agency cautions that structural weaknesses from high crime to weak productivity continues to weigh on Jamaica's long-term potential. But the message is clear. Even as Jamaica makes political history, it is the country's commitment to fiscal stability that underpins market confidence. Jamaica's new political mandate is translating quickly into an economic one. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has set out a framework he calls Aspire, a growth reset designed to drive opportunity, strengthen security, and position Jamaica for new industries. At the Jamaica Labour Party's JLP's post-election address recently, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, a member of the JLP Communications Task Force, underscored growth as the top priority for the Holness-led administration, reviving the Aspire framework first outlined last November.
We understand deeply that growth is top of mind for this country and for this administration. And he laid it out. And again, last night, as you heard his speech, you heard elements of it. He spoke about the access to economic opportunities and how that's important to us. The continued work to deliver security, that is very important to us. We've started it and we're going to continue down that road because Jamaicans deserve to live in a safe country. Bureaucracy was another element of his Aspire framework that he laid out in November, and you see in the manifesto that very heavily represented.
She says the government is also leaning into new industries in the new term.
The new Jamaica that we're trying to build, it's going to be new industries, new areas, new sectors. We're already seeing work along the logistics line. In our manifesto, we spoke about the creative economy and everything that's going to be done there. We're working to build a new Jamaica, and we've already started that work, and we will humbly continue to do that work for Jamaica.
That was Dana Morris Dixon, a member of the JLP Communications Task Force. In other news, Mayberry Group Limited has reported a consolidated loss of approximately $700 million for 2024, with management stressing the decline was driven mainly by unrealized movements in its Mayberry Jamaican Equities MJE portfolio. Group CEO Gary Purr told the shareholders at the company's second annual general meeting recently that the setback reflects accounting requirements rather than cash outflows.
For the year ended 2024, we recorded a loss of $700 million. Quite a bit of that was generated from our holdings in MJE. But the highlights for 2024 for us as a group was the performance of Mayberry Investment, the security dealer, so oftentimes referred to as a broker dealer. We were able to generate very good net interest income, as also very good foreign exchange spread. Our trading business in Mayberry Investments performed creditably for the 2024 year. And also, most importantly, because it's one of our strategic initiatives going forward, is a growth in our funds under management, our client.
Despite the headline loss, Purr says Mayberry's financial position remains robust, with assets and shareholders' equity steady.
You'll see from 2020, our asset base has grown really nicely, just under 70% from 2020, where it was $40 billion approximately, to where it is now, which is approximately $64 billion. And again, that speaks to the confidence that you, our shareholders, and more importantly, our customers, have placed in us to be giving us more and more of their assets to manage. And, with the team at Mayberry, we've been doing that creditably. And the result is that, people tend to not realize the strength of Mayberry. But, whilst we're a little Jamaican company, in 2022, our shareholders' equity was $26 billion. Notwithstanding the volatility in the stock market, we still have $24 billion in.
That was CEO of Mayberry Group Limited, Gary Purr. And now for news from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Tuesday's trading session, the US dollar is selling for $161.30, the Canadian for $116.96, the pound for $218.12, while the going rate for the euro is $190.48. And we go now to news from the JSE and how the local equities markets traded today. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 107 stocks, of which 42 advanced, 46 declined, and 19 traded firm. Leading the winners are Kintyre Holdings JA, Kelly Group, ISP Financial Services, and Sterling Investment. While leading the losers are A.S. Braden & Sons Holdings, Productive Business Solutions 10.50% perpetual cumulative redeemable preference share, Cargo Handlers, and Express Caterings. Now the main index declined by 837.41 points, or 0.26%, to close at 317,640.38 points. The junior market index also declined, but by 32.22 points, or 0.94%, to close at 3,407.15 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're defining the term back office. The back office refers to the part of a company, particularly in the financial services sector, that handles administrative and support tasks without direct interaction with clients. Typically, back office functions include settlements, clearances, record keeping, regulatory compliance, accounting, and IT support. The term back office originated from the layout of early business offices, where customer-facing employees worked at the front of the building, while those involved in internal operations such as account staffing worked in the rear, out of public view. For instance, a financial services company is typically divided into three main sections: the front office, which includes sales, marketing, and customer service; the middle office, which manages functions like risk management; and the back office, which ensures that all administrative and support tasks are carried out efficiently behind the scenes.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local segment of the newscast. Please do stay with us. When we return, the regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Let's all get fit. This summer set drip. Hip dips and split. Forward in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes the body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so home, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. One more now. 1, 2, 3. One more now. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's all get fit. This summer set drip. Hip dips and split. Forward in the mind, let's get healthy with it. Sometimes your body's so hard, but your body wants it. And then your head is so home, and it's so like this. So we gotta go 1, 2, 3. One more.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. The Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago is worried that the country's foreign exchange demand now exceeds $6 billion annually, far more than the system can. Governor Larry Hawaii, speaking at his first major media engagement since taking office, revealed that while commercial banks source roughly $4.5 billion from the energy sector and other market players, the central bank has had to inject an additional $2.2 billion from reserves to close the gap.
To sustain our economy, the demand for foreign exchange is well over 6,000 million US dollars a year. Now, for demand in the street, 6,000 million US is an inconceivable number. We don't even know what that number is, right? We can't even think of what it looks like, right? But that's the amount of foreign exchange that is sold on an annual basis in Trinidad and Tobago. About 4.5 billion by the which the commercial banks buy.
He cautioned that international reserves have been falling since 2015, and in a striking disclosure said the public now holds more foreign currency than the central bank itself.
What I tried to do here is to show what is happening with banking deposits and our foreign exchange reserves. It's getting to the point where you, the public, have more foreign exchange than us, the central bank, right? And years ago, this used to be us, and this used to be you, the public, right? Today, this is us, and this is you. So your numbers have continued to go up, and our numbers have continued to go down.
Governor for the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, Larry Hawaii. The Bahamas' trade deficit expanded sharply in the second quarter of 2025, climbing to $958.3 million, according to the Bahamas National Statistical Institute. Total imports surged by 15% year-on-year to $1.24 billion, driven by higher purchases of fuel, machinery, transport equipment, and manufactured goods. Mineral fuels alone accounted for more than a quarter of all imports, reflecting elevated global oil prices and rising domestic demand. By contrast, exports fell to $286 million, down from $308 million a year earlier, with re-exports, mainly ships and aircraft supplies, dominating nearly 90% of the total. Domestic exports, led by polished stones and rum, remained comparatively small. The widening deficit underscores the economy's heavy dependence on imported goods, even as the tourism sector continues to recover and foreign reserves remain stable. The United States remained the Bahamas' largest trading partner, supplying more than 70% of imports and taking 84% of exports. Smaller but significant trade flows also came from Trinidad and Tobago, Italy, and the United Kingdom. And with CARIFEST now behind them, the government of the Bahamas. And with CARIFEST now behind them, the government of Barbados is shifting gears from culture to commerce, unveiling plans to fast-track small business financing and prepare local entrepreneurs for the digital trade economy. Speaking at a recent engagement, Business Minister Senator Lisa Cummings highlighted plans to create business models that leverage digital platforms.
We have made a commitment, and we've already started to engage with the National Cultural Foundation so that close to the end of September, we will be bringing together all of the partners who worked in the business space. Trust Fund in particular, they sent an entire team one full day to the Grand Market, and we will be pulling together all of the local businesses to see how, with the Ministry of Business, the Fund Access and Trust Loans, and all of our development partners, and with the Small Business Association, we can create business models that help us to use digital trade, as Prime Minister has already announced, but we want to ready you for that space and for that platform, and we will be doing that this month.
She says a key priority is addressing long-standing frustrations with banks and financial institutions.
The difficulties of working with the banks and the financial institutions, we need to make it easier. And I'm happy that ICAB is here, because one of the things that we have thrown out a challenge to them to work with us this year on, and we have some draft TRRs that have been completed, is to make sure that together with the Bankers Association and ICAB, that we're able to navigate what exactly is needed to help businesses like Marissa's to finance, refinance, and to be able to navigate the banking system.
That was Barbados' Business Minister, Senator Lisa Cummings. And it's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 19 securities, of which 3 advanced, 6 declined, and 10 traded firm. Today's winners are NCB Financial Group, National Enterprises, and Republic Financial Holdings, while leading the losers are the West Indian Tobacco Company, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, and Scotiabank TNT. Now, trading activity resulted in the following movements. The all TNT index declined by 8.27 points to close at 1,429.16. The composite index declined by 3.79 points to close at 995.02. The cross-listed index advanced by 0.15 points to close at 74.29. And the SME index remained at 99.20. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
Hello everyone, I'm Kiran Maharaj of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and I just want to wish CBX a very happy anniversary. Thank you CBX for keeping us informed, and may you continue to grow globally, making strides everywhere. Best wishes.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. In the international news today, the Chinese yuan surged to a 43-week high this week after Beijing inked new currency swap agreements with the European Central Bank, ECB, the Swiss National Bank, SNB, and the Hungarian Central Bank, boosting global confidence in the yuan's international role. The deals aim to enhance liquidity support, cross-border trade, and reduce reliance on the US dollar in bilateral transactions. Analysts view the agreements as part of China's broader push to internationalize the yuan amid rising geopolitical and economic fragmentation. The yuan strengthened to 6.79 per dollar, marking its highest level since October 2024. Market sentiment was also buoyed by expectations that the People's Bank of China, PBOC, will maintain its stable monetary policy and support capital flows tied to trade partners in Europe. Traders now see the yuan's recent rally as both a monetary and geopolitical signal, suggesting deepening financial ties between China and non-dollar economies. Gold prices surged to fresh all-time highs of around $3,650 per ounce on Tuesday, driven by rising expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts and growing geopolitical uncertainty. The rally follows last week's weaker-than-expected U.S. jobs report, which pushed markets to price in 3 rate cuts by year-end, including a 25 basis point cut expected at next week's Fed meeting. Investors are now eyeing upcoming US PPI and CPI inflation data set to be released later this week for further clues on the Fed's policy trajectory. Beyond monetary policy, safe haven demand is also buoying gold amid concerns over U.S. trade tariffs, global tensions, and lingering macroeconomic uncertainty. So far in 2025, gold has jumped 39%, propelled by a weaker U.S. dollar, strong central bank buying, and broadly dovish financial conditions. Analysts say that unless inflation surprises on the upside, the combination of monetary easing and risk aversion could keep gold prices elevated in the near term. Two federal courts have ruled that President Donald Trump's emergency tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in imports were unlawfully imposed, setting the stage for a potential landmark ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court. The Trump administration had imposed the tariffs under emergency national security powers, targeting goods from China, Europe, and other trading partners. The courts found that the actions exceeded presidential authority under current trade law and violated statutory procedures. In response, Trump has petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn the lower court decisions. A final ruling is expected later this year and could have a massive financial consequence. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned that if the U.S. High Court uphold the rulings, the U.S. government could be on the hook to refund importers between $750 billion and $1 trillion in funds collected through what now may be deemed illegal duties. The U.S. economy added 911,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March 2025 than originally reported, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics (BLS) preliminary benchmark revision released this week. The downward adjustment represents a 0.6% revision to total non-farm employment, sharply above the 0.2% average revision seen over the past decade. It suggests that the labor market was significantly weaker than previously believed during that period. The revision impacted nearly all major industries, with the largest downward adjustment seen in leisure and hospitality, down 176,000, professional and business services 158,000, retail trade was down 126,200, while wholesale trade fell 110,300. In contrast, only a few sectors saw modest upward revisions, including transportation and warehousing 6,600 and utilities 3,700. The annual revision reconciles data from two independent surveys, the Current Employment Statistics (CES) and the Quarterly Consensus of Employment and Wages (QWEC), each with distinct methodologies and error sources. This marks the second straight year of significant downward revision, following an 818,000 job correction a year earlier. The latest figures could have implications for Federal Reserve policy, as they point to a labor market that has lost more steam than headline figures indicated. And those were your international business stories. After the break, do rejoin us for your recap.
Introducing the Corporate Services Unit, your go-to experts for corporate secretarial solutions. We offer statutory compliance, efficient minute taking, registered office address services, management of board and members meetings, setup and maintenance of corporate registers. Stay ahead with our proactive approach to new regulations. We operate under the Trust and Corporate Service Provider, licensed to the JCSD Trustee Services Limited. We're here to simplify your corporate journey, no matter the size of your company. Contact the Corporate Service Unit today and let's streamline your compliance journey together because your success is our business.
And now to recap our top stories in the local news. Jamaica's election will not lead to major economic or fiscal policy changes, says Fitch Ratings. Regionally, TNT's central bank flags foreign exchange gap, signals rate hikes. And internationally, Trump tariffs face Supreme Court test. $1 trillion in refunds at stake. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rondine Williams, thanking you for watching CBX. Your region, your business, your source.
Shirley Bridgman, you are watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
Hi, this is Brittany from Daniel's Coffee Barrel. Just wanted to wish CBX a very happy anniversary from Daniel and the team.